my channel. Today I am doing somewhat of an experiment. So as you guys know, Tom Ford recently introduced this new Emotionproof concealer. I've been wearing it off and on for about 2 weeks now, and I got it before I went on vacation for Easter weekend. I wore it the entire time I was on Easter weekend. I was planning on comparing it to the Estee Lauder Double Wear Waterproof All Day Extreme Wear Concealer. And there's been some rumors going around that the ingredients are almost identical between these two products. Again, Tom Ford is owned by Estee Lauder, so just know that. Then the rumor mill released that Smashbox has the similar, almost identical ingredients as the Tom Ford. So fortunately, I had this one in stock. I didn't have this one. I actually ordered this one, but I had this one in stock. So I thought, oh my gosh, this is perfect. I can test all three of them, see which one I like, see the differences between these concealers, and give you guys all of the breakdown. You guys know I'm a thorough girl. This is going to be a very thorough, informative video. So I'm going to leave timestamps in the description box down below for those of you guys that maybe don't want to hear the differences. You just want to see them applied and my opinion on them. I get it. Like, it's hard to watch a full 30-minute video. I get it. So I will definitely leave timestamps for those of you who are interested in just skipping ahead and skipping to the parts that you want to see. So let's get into this, you guys, because I have been quite the chemist learning all these different ingredients. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I've not been learning a lot, but I've been kind of going through the ingredients, kind of understanding what ingredient does what, and we're going to get into it right now. So the Tom Ford concealer is $54 for 24 ounces, 7 mils, which means it is $7.71 per milliliter. It is a very expensive concealer. It's the most expensive concealer I have. I've never spent that much on a concealer. It has 12 shades, claims to be full coverage. It is a natural radiant finish. It claims to be waterproof, sweat, humidity, and transfer resistant. So it doesn't claim to be 24-hour wear, but it just claims to be extremely long wearing, whatever that means. It is supposed to be comfortable, and it also can help cover tattoos. Now, in my opinion, the cons about this is obviously the price. The price is ridiculous for this product, and I feel like it doesn't really have a lot of shades. The pros in this, I would say, the fact that it's waterproof and weatherproof, and it has a radiant finish. I actually did test this. I was on vacation. My grandfather and I went four-wheeling on Easter weekend, and it started raining. It wasn't like we got poured on, but it did rain, and my concealer looked amazing. So this definitely, in my opinion, would be considered waterproof. I didn't have any problems with it smudging or running down my face or anything. Just based on my experience on that one day of getting rained on, not poured on, but we were rained on, it held up. So in my opinion, that's definitely a true claim. So let's get into the information about the Estee Lauder concealer. So the Estee Lauder concealer is $29. You get a half ounce, which is a lot of concealer. That's how much you get in the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. That actually comes down to $1.93 per milliliter. It has 11 shades. It claims to be full coverage. It has a natural matte finish. It claims to be waterproof, sweat, humidity, and transfer resistant. Claims to be a 24-hour wear concealer. It is oil-free and claims to not crease or cake. I would say the cons on this are the packaging. Because the packaging, it doesn't have a wand, so it's a squeezy tube, and I am not like a super huge fan of squeezy tubes. If the concealer's worth it, I'm willing to deal with the squeezy tube. And I would also say the cons are the shades. I mean, it's only got 11 shades. That's really not a lot of shades. The pros on this, I think, are the price. The price is incredible for this concealer. It is definitely the cheapest of the three, and I like how it's waterproof, and I also like how it's claiming to be weatherproof. So the Smashbox concealer is $24 for 0.27 ounces, 8 mils. That comes down to $3 per milliliter. It has 30 shades. It is claiming to be a medium buildable to full coverage concealer. It has a natural matte finish. Doesn't claim to be waterproof, and no claims on, weatherproof or sweatproof or anything like that. It claims to have a 24-hour wear. It is cruelty-free, and it is claiming to be non-creasy and non-cakey. The cons on this, I think, are where, you know, basically it just doesn't claim to be waterproof. So, you know, the other two claim to be waterproof and this one doesn't. That's pretty much the only thing that I'm finding that's like a major con with this. The Pro is, it has 30 shades, which is amazing. It's cruelty free and the price is pretty reasonable for the amount that you get and all the claims on it. So that's the information and the differences between these three concealers. Now let's dive into the ingredients, because that's kind of been, you know, where this all started. So the first time I heard anybody talk about the Tom Ford having similar ingredients to the Estee Lauder was from Michele Wang. I don't remember what video it was. I think it was maybe like a Tom Ford haul or something like that, but she actually tested these next to each other, and I will leave a link to her video in the description box down below so you guys can check that out. But she was the first person that actually brought this to my attention, that the Tom Ford had similar, almost exact ingredients as the Estee Lauder. So kudos to her, you know, she deserves the credit for that. And the first time I heard about the Smashbox concealer being almost identical to the Tom Ford is Wang Goss. So Wang Goss just recently uploaded a video saying that these were almost exact, and he kind of acted like he was pretty ticked off about it. Not that he was like mad, but he was, I think, disappointed in Tom Ford as a brand, because I think he was like, are you serious? Like, you know, I understand where they're coming from. I get it, because, you know, you guys know that I don't own a lot of Tom Ford. In fact, up until a couple weeks ago, I'd never bought anything from Tom Ford. And I am still trying to find the hype behind these products. I didn't have the best experience with the bronzer and the blush, because it wasn't that I didn't like it, I just didn't think it was worth the money. So when I bought the concealer, I get it. Like, I get where they're coming from. They're looking at it like, I'm paying all this money for the Tom Ford experience, and not only the experience but the ingredients that you guys own, and what makes your brand stand out among other brands to justify the cost, because the cost is significantly higher than some of these other brands. And, you know, when Estee Lauder bought Tom Ford, they bought all of the formulas to all of their products, and now they're like cross-contaminating. Like, Tom Ford is bringing out a concealer that Estee Lauder already carries. Like, it's kind of a weird situation, and I get kind of just the disappointment in the brand. You could feel from Michele Wang and Wang Goss that, you know, they're way more experienced in like higher end Tom Ford products than I am. You could hear the disappointment in their voice, like, seriously, really? I understand the disappointment. And so I thought, you know what, I'm so glad that I had this one on hand, and I was already testing these two out, so I threw this one in there. As we're talking, I will leave the images up on the screen so that you guys can take screenshots of these and have them for yourself. There's really not a lot of differences between these. All three of the concealers have different sorts and different types of dimethicone, and as you guys know, dimethicone is the waterproof ingredient. It's kind of what we use in like antiperspirant and stuff like that. Even though Smashbox doesn't claim to be waterproof, it has quite a bit of that in it. I'm surprised that they have not claimed that it is waterproof, because it has quite a few different dimethicones in the ingredients. Now, I would not say that these are like exact, and as you'll see on these images, they're not like exact line after line after line, but they're the same ingredients, but just different levels. Obviously, you guys know that the top ingredients are, you know, the first, like the main ingredients, and as you start going down towards the middle, you will get less and less towards the end of what's in here. So, for example, though, the ingredient silica. So silica is a mineral found naturally in sandstone, clay, and granite, as well in parts of the plants and animals. It is used as a versatile ingredient in the cosmetic and skincare industry because of its ability to serve as an abrasive anti-caking agent. So basically, that is an ingredient that helps our concealers to not be cakey. Smashbox actually lists the ingredient silica as the 5th ingredient in their concealer. The Estee Lauder lists it it's like 19th down. So that means there are 19 ingredients ahead of it. And, you know, so it's quite a ways down there. Now the Tom Ford, it's like 29th down. Now it might be give or take, because trying to count all those commas like in between is a pain in the ass. Okay? So roughly it's like the 29th ingredient. So just because they're not exact doesn't mean that they don't contain pretty much the exact same ingredients. They're just kind of sporadically placed different places throughout the ingredients. The Estee Lauder Double Wear Waterproof Concealer, I actually bought mine on Sephora, and there was only 3 shades on the Sephora website, and it looks like now there's only 2 left. I think maybe the word's getting out that this Estee Lauder might be a total dupe for the Tom Ford concealer, so everybody's buying it up. I chose the shade 3W Medium, and I feel like this was a perfect shade for me. Gives me a little bit of brightness, but it really blends into the skin almost undetectable. But this shade is no longer available on the Sephora website, so I will leave a full list in the description box down below underneath this concealer and places that you can get the entire shade range. Also, I do want to mention really fast that if you have never bought anything from the Estee Lauder website, and if you go on and put your email in, they will send you a one-time 15% off discount code. Yes, it's not the full 20 that you would get for it being a Rouge member during the Sephora sale right now, but 15 is better than nothing. So if you are interested in the Estee Lauder concealer and they don't have your shade on the Sephora website, but you still want to get some sort of a discount, definitely enter your email in and you can get a 15% discount code. Now the Smashbox concealer, they have every shade on the Sephora website, and I have the shade Light Medium Warm Peach, and I feel like this is a good shade. It is. It's a decent shade. The Tom Ford, I chose the shade 5.0 Bare Beige, and I feel like this is a little bit too light for me. My plan was, if I decide to keep it, I was going to get me a darker shade. So the Tom Ford, this is the Tom Ford, this is the Smashbox, and this is the Estee Lauder. So I would say the Estee Lauder is just a little bit peachier. I don't know that I would say it's darker. It just has a little bit more of a peachy tone. But this Tom Ford one does kind of oxidize a little bit. But let me kind of dry that and then I'll show you what a new swipe looks like. So it oxidizes. Just know that this is a new swipe of the Tom Ford, and it definitely oxidizes when it dries. So this is the Smashbox. The Smashbox doesn't seem to oxidize, but you can clearly see the difference with the Tom Ford. The Tom Ford definitely oxidizes. The Smashbox doesn't. It looks to be the exact same shade when you first apply it and when it dries down. And then over here on the corner is the Estee Lauder, and I think the Estee Lauder is a tad bit lighter. So that's all the information and the differences between all 3 of these concealers. Now we're gonna jump straight into the application portions of the video. I definitely put these to the test. I wear them every day for 12 hours or longer. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video, and I will see you guys in my final thoughts. Okay, so let's go ahead and test the Tom Ford next to the Estee Lauder Waterproof Concealer. Now, here's the problem, you guys. I did buy the Tom Ford Concealer light. Remember, I felt like it was going to work, but it didn't. So the shade's pretty light on this, and I went ahead and bought the shade that I need in the Estee Lauder in case I like it, I want to keep it. So the shade is not going to be exact. I'm going to go ahead and apply the Tom Ford on this side. So let's go ahead and do that. This just melts right in. Like, I think that's the thing that I've really enjoyed about this concealer the most, is just how quick it melts. I'm going to take the Double Wear Waterproof All Day Extreme Wear Concealer, and I think I'll just put some right, oh, shitskis. Okay, so it's don't squeeze too hard like I just did. So I think I'll just apply it with my finger. This is definitely a better shade. Probably a little bit too warm, but it does have that nice peachy tone to it. So I did wipe my brush off, by the way, but I will say they feel very similar. So both concealers have a very thin consistency. I mean, it's blending and it feels the exact same. Just by blending that in, it feels exactly the same. If I would have been blindfolded and applying these, I don't think that I would have known that I was applying a different product. They're that similar. It's a very thin formula. I feel like I've gotten decent coverage from both sides. I do feel like the Estee Lauder is a little bit more on the shiny side. As you can see, when I pull you in, you'll notice, but I've got some shininess here that I don't have as much on this side. So this is the Tom Ford side. This is the Estee Lauder side. And you guys know I don't set my under eyes, so I'm just gonna leave it like this and we're gonna see how it works. But I think the only difference between these two right now is just the shade. The shade is the only difference. Honestly, I feel like it looks the exact same. I'm not seeing much difference. Let's turn off the ring light so we can see it in more natural lighting. So again, Estee Lauder side, Tom Ford side. With the ring light off, I'm not really seeing much of a difference, to be honest. I don't know. Sometimes it comes across, you know, through the camera a little different. I'm sitting in front of a window. It's not direct sunlight. I do have umbrella lights sitting over in the corner, but this is definitely more natural lighting, and I think this looks good. I don't feel like this looks bad at all. I feel like so far, this Estee Lauder is extremely comparable to this Tom Ford, so I'm very curious about this. Okay, so currently it is 9:38 in the morning, so I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera, finish the rest of my makeup. I will come back and do a midday check-in, and then I'll come back tonight and to give you guys my final thoughts on both of these concealers. I think I like the Estee Lauder side, but I think it might be because of the shade. I feel like they look the same, but this Estee Lauder has a nice sheen to it, like a radiance to it that this Tom Ford doesn't. Like, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if it's because of the shade. It can't be because of the shade. Like, you can see, I just love how radiant that looks, and it's just because it's not overly radiant where it's not emphasizing my texture and my wrinkles and stuff like that, but it looks really natural and really hydrated, but it's set down. So, okay, that's it. I will see you guys in my first check-in. Okay everyone, I am back for a midday check-in on both of these concealers. It is 5:10 in the afternoon, so I've had it on for what, like 7.5, 8 hours-ish? I don't know. I don't know what time I applied it. I think these concealers are so comparable. Like, I don't even know that I'm wearing a different concealer, only than the shade. So I asked my daughter what side she thought looked better. She said this side because she felt like this side had more coverage. But honestly, I don't know. I do feel like it does have a little bit more coverage, but it could be because of the shade too. It's hard to say because the shade is different, but I really, really like this Estee Lauder waterproof. Like, this is so natural, and I'm like crazy to me that I'm having such good luck with all these concealers. I don't know that you can tell the difference. I do feel like maybe this one has a little bit more coverage right around here. The thing that I like about it is, okay, so I don't know if you guys are like me, but I have watery eyes. And if I walk out into the wind, my eyes will start watering. And that's what happened to me today. And you would never know it. You would never know that my eyes were watering. So this does feel like it's waterproof. I know for a fact that the Tom Ford is waterproof because I did have a situation, which I probably have already explained in this video, but I did have a situation where it was waterproof. Like, it's waterproof. But I don't have any doubt in my mind that the Estee Lauder one's not waterproof as well. Okay, enough yapping. I've come in like extra close. So I wanted you guys to see what this looks like extra close, and then I will shut off the ring light. Again, Estee Lauder side, Tom Ford side. All right, let's turn off the ring light. Ring light is off. This is natural lighting. And again, Estee Lauder side, Tom Ford side. Okay, so that's it for this check-in. I will come back later on this evening after wearing these for 12 hours and, you know, do some close-ups and stuff. I will see you guys in my 12-hour check-in. Okay, everyone, I'm back for my 12-hour plus check-in. I was just getting ready to go to bed. I had forgotten about doing an update on these concealers. So, oh my gosh, I was just getting ready to take off all my makeup. So it is 12 o'clock in the morning. So I've had both of these concealers on, you guys, for 14 hours. And I would not tell anybody because they look really good. I would say that the Estee Lauder really holds up next to the Tom Ford. Now, don't get me wrong. It definitely, you know, they've faded. I don't have much coverage left. Everything's faded very naturally though. I can appreciate just how natural these fade off, and I cannot really tell a difference. Like looking in the mirror, it seems like right here, I feel like I have a little bit more coverage in this area, but maybe not. I don't know, but I can't really tell the difference between these two concealers now. Now that it's been 14 hours, can you tell a difference? Because I can't. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I really cannot see a difference between these two. They both look really good. Okay, so again, this is the Estee Lauder side, this is the Tom Ford side. And I want to mention, I do have an extra wrinkle on this side that I don't have on this side. So, you know, all fairness to Estee Lauder, right here I have this extra line, as you can see, that I don't have on this one. All right, let's turn off the ring light. It's 12 o'clock at night, so I just have the umbrella lights in the corner, no sunlight. And I just wanted you guys to see what these concealers look like in more natural lighting. And as you can see, they look very natural. So these are the type of concealers where they're almost like undetectable on the skin. So that's it for this check-in. I will come back tomorrow and jump on camera, and I'm going to test this next to the Smashbox concealer. So we'll see how these perform tomorrow. I will see you guys in tomorrow's application. So the time has come. It is time to test it next to the Smashbox Studio Skin Flawless 24-Hour Wear Concealer. I'm curious how it's going to perform next to the Tom Ford. This applicator is like this, so it has kind of a real nice spongy tip on it. All right, let's put it on this side. Now it does have that thin consistency. It looks like I just put a ton of concealer on, but I promise I really wiped this applicator. Like I wiped it all off. So I put a tiny bit of concealer on. So I just, you know, I want to point that out, even though it looks like I put a lot on. And a lot of the times people think that I put a lot of concealer on, but I wipe the applicator before I go in. So I will literally keep doing this. I just cut that out of the video so that you guys don't need to see me do that, right? But I will literally wipe and wipe and wipe and then use whatever's left on the sponge and kind of bring it down and around. That's been my preferred way, but it looks like I'm putting a ton of concealer on, but I'm not. Okay, so that doesn't look too bad. I think we've got it good and blended. With this thin formula, you guys, I prefer a finger. I really do, because all three of these concealers dry down as you kind of blend them in. So I feel like it's such a thin formula that a sponge is really going to soak it up. And it's a thin formula where you could really blend it out with your finger and then go over it with a brush. I kind of feel like that's just going to be the best way to apply these concealers. My preferred way of applying concealer with a sponge is when I'm using a thicker concealer, whether it's like a thicker consistency or whatever it is, but all the concealers that I'm using are thin. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Tom Ford on this side. Obviously, again, it looks like I have a lot on, but I wiped off the applicator quite a bit. Okay, so here is the Smashbox side, and this is the Tom Ford side. And I wanted to show you guys with the beauty light on, and then I'll turn it off in a second so you guys can see this in more natural lighting. So far, they look pretty similar. This one does have a sheen to it, somewhat like the Estee Lauder. See how I'm having an issue with it sticking right here? I can't get it to adhere to that part of the skin, so I'm not gonna keep building it because, you know, it's just gonna get caking, kind of weird. But I've worn that concealer a lot, and that's the first time that's ever happened. So it must be something on my skin, but I just don't know what it is. So let's turn off the ring light. Okay, again, this is the Smashbox side. This is in more natural lighting, and I'm sitting in front of a window. It's not direct sunlight, and I have 2 umbrella lights sitting in each corner. This is the Tom Ford side, and this is the Smashbox side. You know, so far, the Smashbox one looks pretty good. It looks way better. I don't remember exactly what I didn't like about it. It's been several months since I've worn it, so I just remember I didn't like it. I don't really remember. I remember I didn't like it because I felt like it exaggerated my wrinkles. But outside of that, I don't remember like how long it did, if I liked it, you know, immediately, because right now I really like the way it looks. It is 9:23 a.m. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my makeup. I will come back and do a midday check-in, and then I'll come back later on this evening and give you guys the full rundown, my full opinion on all 3 of these concealers. I will see you guys in my first check-in. I am back for a midday check-in. It is currently 4:45. I kind of like the Smashbox one more than I did the last time I wore it. I feel like it exaggerates my wrinkles just a tiny bit more than the Estee Lauder. If you looked at me and you went side by side, you would never know I was wearing 2 different concealers. Okay, so here we are up close and very, very personal. And this is the Smashbox side. This is the Tom Ford side. And I tried to keep it very limited of makeup underneath my eyes, like a tiny, 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 tiny bit of bronzer, like right here. That's it. And a tiny, like the littlest amount of mascara. I did try to keep it as, you know, makeup free as possible. Okay, so let's turn off the ring light. Okay, so I'm coming in extra close today. Okay, so that's it for this check-in, but honestly, you guys, I'm not seeing a difference between these 2. They're very, very, very similar. So I will see you guys in my 12-hour check-in, which at that point will be my final thoughts. Okay, so I'm back for my 12-hour check-in and my final thoughts. It is 4:33 p.m. So I've officially had these concealers on for what, like 13 hours now or something like that. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute. I am ready to take all my makeup off and get in the bath. Seriously, like I'm a bath girl. I love taking a bath at night. Okay, we're not talking about that. Okay, so this is the Smashbox side and this is the Tom Ford side. And I don't know if it's coming across through the camera or not, but I kind of feel like they both look the same. I feel like I've lost, you know, quite a bit of coverage. Let's turn off the ring light. So obviously, you know, it's real late at night, but the 2 umbrellas do give more natural lighting, and this is what they're looking like in more natural lighting. Okay, so now that we have that over with, let's get into my final thoughts. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I don't feel like the Tom Ford is worth the price. I feel like it's a decent concealer, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel like it's worth the price. I don't feel like it's any... You know, again, I keep saying this when I'm reviewing Tom Ford products, but I really need the products to wow me. Like, holy crap, wow. You know what I mean? In order for me to justify the price. And this is a very, very, very expensive concealer. This is what high-end foundations cost. And it's just astronomically ridiculous to pay that much for a concealer. And if you do pay that much for a concealer, it has to be the best on the market. Like, there has to be a reason why you're paying for that. I can't find one single reason why this concealer is better than the Estee Lauder. I feel like the Smashbox kind of comes in second place from the Estee Lauder. I feel like, in my opinion, the star of the show is the Estee Lauder. Obviously, it's the most affordable out of all 3 of them. The only problem problem with that is the tube. I don't really like the squeezy tube when it comes to the concealer, and it's not a thick concealer, so I'm starting to lose my voice. It's not like super duper liquidy, but you just have to be careful. And, you know, just be careful. And if you want, that's actually the best way to make sure that you don't get too much, because every single time I squeeze it like this, I get way too much. So maybe this is the way to do it. Just put a drop. Call it a day. This one is the most affordable out of all three of them. It is waterproof because my eyes were watering like a crazy banshee yesterday, and it completely looked great. Now the Smashbox one I think is a good concealer, but like I said, I feel like it ages just a little bit more. But the Smashbox has really, really good reviews on the Sephora website. So if you go on the Sephora website, there are 582 reviews, and it has a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And that's really good. Like 95% of the people recommend this product. So, you know, don't take my word for it. I do feel like it exaggerates just a little bit more than the Estee Lauder, but I do think it's a good concealer. I've been having really good luck with concealers lately. I loved the Marc Jacobs. I hated the Natasha Denona one. Oh, it was bad. I loved the Jeffree Star. Like, I'm really having really great luck with concealers. You can clearly see through all the footage that both of these concealers held up just about the same as the Tom Ford. It wasn't like there was a clear difference between them, you know? Like, that's what I was wanting. I was wanting to see a clear difference and a clear reason. Like, that's the reason why that product is $52. Wait, it's $54. What I expected was applying the Tom Ford concealer and going, holy shit, that is what I paid for. Now, don't get me wrong. When I first tried this concealer, I was in love. And I texted my friend and I was like, oh my gosh, I hate this concealer and I can't. It's so good. Because I knew it was a really good concealer. But then, once I tried it with the Estee Lauder, I was like, wait, this is just as good as that one. So don't get me wrong, I really like this concealer. And if you want to splurge and you are somebody that loves Tom Ford, if you buy this, you will really like it. Don't get me wrong, you will like this concealer. It's lightweight, it's thin. I highly recommend blending it out with your finger though. And like I said earlier, the sponge kind of eats it up, but I had forgotten that I have already reviewed this, but I never uploaded the video. And it was like I never finished it. And I actually had the footage still left on my computer in all of my different projects that I have. And I went looking back and I noticed the reason why I didn't like this is because I used a sponge to blend it in. You can clearly see that the sponge kind of pulled all of the product away. Blending this with the finger is key, you guys. I think that might have been the reason why I didn't really love this, is it feels like with the finger you can really, really melt it in versus it's such a thin formula and then you go in with a sponge and it's going to pick up half the product. So you're basically only getting half of the effect, which could be why I don't like this. All three of these concealers are a thin formula. I do not recommend you use a sponge. I know that if you prefer a sponge, I get it, but you can really melt your concealers in with your finger and you can, you know, melt it in. And then if you need to take the sponge and maybe go over, you know, the edges or whatever, but with all three of these concealers, they're thin enough, and the way that they lay down on the eye, I don't know that you're going to get the best results by using a sponge. So that's my opinion on all three of these concealers. I hope that this review was helpful for you guys, and you know, I'm just here to be a conduit of information for you, and I hope that this helped you guys decide in what concealer might be best for you, and if you are somebody that's ready to take the plunge and spend the $54 on this new concealer. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys again for all the love that you guys show me and my channel. It means the absolute world to me. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day filled with love and happiness. I will see you guys in my next video, and I love you all so much. Bye. I'm having such a good brow day. I don't want to go and get in my bath and wipe all my makeup off. Do you think I could just like leave this and have it be here tomorrow? All right, it's time for me to hit the road, Jack. I am beat. And I can't find my shoe. Well, that's fun. Come on! Fetch-a-rooney. I can't walk around barefoot. It drives me nuts.